Hello there, fellas. It has been a long time again. And today, as you may have seen through the title, we are going to make something different. This is not going to be some info dump video or just, another tutorial video. This time I'm going to do something a little bit different. Today, I'm going to take my gloves off and just pour in complexity mod, as you might be able to see over here, and cranking it up really high. And what I'm going to try to do today is I'm going to try to make a 1x1, a full, very good recreation of several historical tanks. And I'm going to use the most incredibly trustworthy source to get some of this stuff, that being War Thunder. I just have War Thunder open here on another screen, and I am going to try to make a vehicle that is as fast as the actual thing, the exact same speed, have the armor on the exact spots where it had IRL, have of course the same reverse speed, they try to mimic the whole thing. And of course, complexity mod is going to allow me to really just not care about complexity at all and just go in on it. And today I'm going to work on the Tiger 2, the Age version, not the Porsche version, the Age. And it's going to be a heavy tank, a German heavy tank, late World War II, as you may know. And I am going to set a few rules in place. First off, the Tiger 2, the German high Tiger 2, it was a very heavy tank. It still used only, steel, just, full-on iron armor to protect itself. It was incredibly heavy. So, as part of the rules I'm going to make, since it is a tank that did not historically have composite armor, I'm going to use only the heavy blocks for it, just to simulate this very late World War II feel. And like Cold War vehicles, if I end up doing them, I'm going to use actual composite armor using pins and many other things to really, make it a bit stronger. But for this, it's mainly going to be the heavy blocks and 1x2 shields, just to get that extra health in. Not only that, it did not have a stabilization system, so that's also going to be reflected, and I'm going to try to match the speed as best as I can, both on the run but also on reverse. This is what I'm trying to do, and of course have it look as good as possible, as close to the actual thing as possible. The actual thing being, of course, the model that we have in War Thunder. So without further ado, let's get going. It really screams World War II, this entire thing. Very sloped armor on the front, very strong for the time, 150mm over here, and the slope just making it even more effective over here and over here on the frontal turret. These are the bits that are going to have the most weight plopped to them. The rest, only 80mm, not all that impressive at all. We are not going to put much priority in just, having lots of weight. Over these bits over here, it's mostly going to be these frontal parts. And this thing, if we go on to take a look, we can see that the velocity in this thing, the speed that it has, it is quite decent for something of this size. It's 42 kilometers when going forwards and 11 kilometers when going backwards. And as we may notice, it does carry several ammo dumps over here. I'm going to not do a cosplay of a German main, the average German main, and I'm just going to plop in the ammo here on the back. So these on the side over here, I'm just going to say that I am a responsible Trailmakers player, just not going to bring in full ammo. You should never do that, that's a good tip. Just here on the back of the turret. And overall, this thing really is not all that complex. Just a single machine gun over here, this machine gun over here, and the coaxial I'm also going to get in here. And without much further ado, let's get started. We are dealing with a heavy tank, so I'm going to just open it up by having it have a very well developed skeleton. So as you can see here, a bunch of weight blocks. Just going to plop these around. Just the right amount of these is going to give this thing a lot of structural protection so that it just does not fold whenever it is shot. It's already going to give us a very nice simulation of the resistance it's going to have. And now, let's get to the fun bit. So over here, the profile is the same. I have added a bit of the side skirts, and over here for the frontal blade you can see I plopped in a bunch of heavy armor. Is this the most effective protection? Absolutely not. However, since we're talking about a World War II tank, I'm not going to give it complexity, very complex composite armor or any of the such, and I'm going to try to reflect that on the build itself. And as you may see, it's going decently well so far. Now that I have got these reinforcements done, the armor, and it has like the delight that it does have in the actual thing, let's take a shot at it and see how it performs. Quite well, I might say. Those were two large cannons, and as you can see, it absorbed it so well, even the light's still up. So I believe this is a success for this armor version of it. It does look very decent. The front already looks kinda good. And all the systems I wanted to have in place for this external bit are now in place. So, now let's move on to the insides and working on the engines of this thing. And we have to put in just enough power that this thing will go at the speed we want it to go. So, for example, if I do this, easily goes over it. So yeah, it's going to require a bit of control and probably some logic as well. Just a raw engine and a bulldog engine, and we got to 40 kilometers, 39 kilometers. That's close enough by me. And we have got ourselves a 42 cap on our velocity on average. So we have got a pretty fast boy that goes up to 42 kilometers an hour, just like the this stat represents. And we go back just 11 kilometers an hour. Pretty nice. It is very slow, but let's be honest, that's just the Tiger 2. Maybe I will increase a bit of its power, but overall this is just what it will look like. So over here, our max speed and our reverse, I think that we are doing quite well. The only thing I do think that maybe we could do was just try to cap the acceleration a bit. This thing is quite fast to reach the max velocity. We're pretty much done. The only thing I'm really going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of side armor to this thing, just so that the 80 millimeters that it does have on the sides are represented at least slightly, so that if a shot does hit on the side of this thing, if it's not coming from a powerful cannon, it really won't do much at all. The only thing it lacks now is the paint job, and of course a few decals, and of course a few decorative blocks. But the functional part, it's already pretty much complete. And so far results are pretty good with this thing. Do note that I still am going to add a few reinforcements later, but like, this is already a pretty tough vehicle. Just going to set up a small contraption just so that we can have a center turret despite this entire thing being built without a odd width, like this is 6 over here and 2. But with this small bit that I am about to show you, we can make the turret be pretty centered, as you can see right here. Just have to adjust it a little bit. And this right here, 0.15, pretty sweet. And as we saw, the maximum guidance that the Tiger has on the vertical axis is 15 degrees, so that's around what I am going to use for this version. And as you can see, it's really not a whole lot, but it will do the job most certainly. Remember it well, the cheeks in this thing were the most heavily armored part of the entire vehicle, you know. It has the thickest plate. It's not angled, so you know the main plate it tends to be more effective because of that, but this right here very thick on its own right, and we are going to simulate that by just having a bunch of these layered over. Oh, I do believe I'm getting somewhere with this shape turret. The biggest issue right now is the fact that it's a bit too big for the chassis, and I'm not finding an easy way out. I might have to expand this chassis a little bit. This looks a bit more like it, just have to fix a few holes now, but as you can see, the turret kind of fits entirely within the chassis, you know, there's nothing, you know, not one bit is stepping out way too much, which does resemble the King Tiger. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not even really going to try to make that circumference on the base of the King Tiger's mantlet, you know, the whole mantlet. I'm just going to make it this and call it a day. It's sharp at least in a bit, right? I think it counts. It's made this bigger, I could you know, have that detail really, you know, settled down. But for the size I want this thing to be, it's just not practical. I'm going to follow along with this, I believe. This right here seems right about right for the size of the cannon. It's a really big boy. Don't know if I like this or not, but surprisingly, we're still a bit below the complexity limit. Maybe I'll be able to do this below 700, which would make it a lot easier to bring out on multiplayer servers. Pretty good. Alright. The overall shape is absolutely there, just have to polish it a bit. The overall shape of the turret is complete. Oh yes. This just looks amazing. The shape is pretty good. As I have added in a better skeleton over here just to hold this entire thing well together, I do believe that the functional part of this build is pretty much over. Let's have a bit of a test here. Kaboom. The armor itself holds up pretty well. The cannon very unfortunately just fell, but the rest seems very able to hold itself together very well. Are installed over here on the cannon, which is going to allow it for it to aim. There's the coaxial gun and the top turret machine gun is also in place currently. Now the turret is a bit slower just to represent the real thing in real life, and of course the cannon is also a bit slower, as you can see, but nothing too much. I've done a few changes over here to how the transmission was working, because for some reason it was just turning by itself. And right now, I do believe that we are pretty close to what we want, at least from this thing functionally. Because the next step is to actually make it look good. Rather smoothly, there's a few things here and there that need to be painted. There's also now the presence of ammo. Or more specifically, TNT. Right over here on the back, just like that position I had told you about. And it is with great joy and pride that in the middle of the deserts, I present to you the Tiger 2 in its fully developed and finished up version. As you can see right here, lots of detail went around in this thing. Tried my best with the paint job. Did not play much around with the textures. However, it is truly something to behold. This thing has every single mechanic I want. It's good to drive, has good resistance, and even better yet, it's below 700 complexity, so you can take this out on any servers and easily have fun over there, with no issues whatsoever. And that's it, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'm going to let you all know that this tank is going to be available on the Steam Workshop. All you have to do is to just search Tiger 2 Nosferatu TG. I'm going to block my name in the description, so that should make it a bit easier for you to find this and some other things I have created over the time. And also, I am going to tell you that I am currently, with the help of a few friends, developing a Discord server that may be online one time or another. I'm going to keep updating on you. And with that said, leave down suggestions in the comments down below on what tanks I should be building next. All the suggestions are welcome, and maybe I will pick one of your vehicles to try to build in this style in the coming future. And as always, this has been Nosferatu, and I will see you all again pretty soon.